The new Mythical Island Pokemon Pocket set is finally here. We have every single card that was released, including the new alternative art cards. Now, before going into this on PokemonMeta.com, let's look at the tier list. Boom. The tier list going into the new pack is looking like Tier 1 Pikachu, Tier 1 Mewtwo, and then at Tier 2 we have Charizard and Starmie. At Tier 3 we have Wigglytuff, and then Tier 4 we have a bunch of different decks. This is completely automated based off of the most recent tournament topping deck lists, and it's going to take just the top 30% of every event. So the larger the event, it's going to be accounting for a bigger influence on the tier list. Now, let's hop into Mythical Island. We're going to start at the bottom, and then we'll go up. So right away, we have the brand new Chatot. What the heck is this? This is going to be a normal energy, and it's 60 health. It's got the ability Mimic. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Draw a card for each card in your opponent's hand. What? That's actually insane for the first card we're reading, because this is very similar to Meowth. Meowth is you draw a card. So if you have a bad hand, you're hopefully drawing into a better card. Well, this is a full mulligan, which you tell me, would you rather draw a card if you're not happy with your hand, or maybe completely mulligan your own hand? That is quite wild. This may possibly see use in a lot of decks to help increase consistency. And if you like your hand, don't activate the effect. Now, what else we have? We have Eevee. Flip a coin until you get heads. This attack does 20 damage for each heads. Continuous steps, 1 normal energy at 60 health Eevee. Okay. We have Joltik. 40 health electric, bug bite for 30. Joltik, sure. What does this evolve into? Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto is going to be wing attack for 50 damage, 3 colorless at 90 health. And then we have Pidgey before that. Flap for 20 damage, okay, colorless. And then we have Cramorant. Cramorant at 80 health with the ability Dive, 60 damage. It's going to be 2 water and a colorless. Flip a coin if heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Oh, okay, it looks like it's diving into the water and it's completely protected. That's very similar to Dugtrio, right? The trio digs under and it's protected. Now, the Dugtrio digging is just 1 energy, but it's random. It's a coin flip. You got to flip heads to pretty much have that same effect, where instead you're going to guarantee to have that protection through 3 energy on the Cramorant. Now, what do we have here? We have Whirlipede, the evolved version. Maybe we should read the smaller version. Let's read Venipede. Venipede is going to be a dark energy, dealing 20 damage for that 1 dark energy at 60 base health. That looks normal across the board of all the other basic Pokemon. And then Whirlipede states that at 90 health, after evolving, it's going to have just 1 dark energy. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned as you deal 20 damage. This is giving me the vibes of playing wheezing and coughing, as it's a very small investment. It's pretty much the same thing. The gas leak's going to poison them, and then you're going to tackle for 30. But the wheezing is, of course, better because it has Koga, being able to return your muck or wheezing from the active spot back in your hand, pretty much a full heal. But maybe there's some other synergy to be played with this, or why not play it in your wheezing deck? Okay, it's not about peanut butter versus jelly. You could put them together. So maybe this is now going to make Koga a much better deck, as you're going to more consistently be poisoning them up. It is at just 90 health. Wheezing is at 110 plus the return. Let's go on. We have Purloin. Scratch for 20, as we have 60 health. We are dark. And then we have Liepard, a single energy attack. 1 dark energy slash for 40 at 90 health. Okay, nothing really jumps out to me here. Let me know in the comments if you feel like I'm missing something, or if you think that something is really good from this set, because I am definitely going to be looking through it. I need it, as I'm going to be streaming this new pack in today. Now, Finneon, water gun for 20. Okay, does this evolve into something? I don't know. We have a new version of Coughing. So the old version of Coughing, what'd it do? The old version of coughing is going to, we can read both of them here. Suffocating gas for 20 damage, a single dark energy, no utility, nothing special, 70 health. The new coughing, still 70 health, still 1 dark energy, but instead of dealing damage, it's going to have some utility where you're going to put 1 random coughing from your deck onto your bench. That I like a lot. That is going to thin out your deck, pull your second coughing out of your deck onto your bench, and then you're going to make the rest of your deck even more consistent. And even just having that coughing on the bench is going to be a really good setup for your Koga. Because when you return back your Weezing in the active spot back to the hand, you ideally want to already have a coughing on your bench or even another Weezing. And if you put that coughing from your bench into the active spot, it's been there for a turn at least, you could then now put the coughing, evolve it into the Weezing that you just returned back to the hand, immediately resummon. So that is a perfect combo with Koga. I have had moments where I activate Koga, I didn't have the other coughing on my bench, and it felt really bad. So that is a huge deal. That is great. Great new coughing. Magikarp. It's got Leap Out for 1 water energy at 30 health. Holy moly, this card's going to die very quickly. Weak to electric. If you are able to Leap Out, switch this Pokemon with 1 of your benched Pokemon. Sure. We have Salandit. Salandit is fire with a colorless attack. Venoshock, it's at 60 health. It's going to deal 10 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, this deals an additional 40 more damage. So 50 damage on the poison. This could work with the Weezing. It could work with the Whirlipede if you want to play fire and dark. I'm not sure if there are any fire Pokemon that are going to be poisoning, but does it matter if this is a colorless attack? You don't have to put fire energy in your deck. Now, when you build a deck and you put fire and dark in it, I'm not telling you to do this, but it will be automatically adding fire and dark energy to your deck. All you have to do is take the fire out, but it evolves into a fire attack. As we have Salazzle. Salazzle at 80 health is now a fire attack with Poison Claws. 30, your opponent's active Pokemon's not poisoned. Well, talking about fire Pokemon being able to poison, its own evolution is able to do that, okay? We now have Geodude. The new Geodude. Is this a new? Yeah, new Geodude. It's going to be a fighting and colorless for a light punch 30 and 70 health. That is across the board on average bigger and stronger than the other basic Pokemon. And what else we got here? Primeape. Let's see what the other Geodude does real quick. Geodude. The old Geodude is a simple fighting energy for a 20 damage tackle. Light Punch is going to take 2 energy, though. So I don't know. You tell me about that one. And then we have Primeape and Mankey. The new Mankey and Primeape. Mankey is going to Focus Fist for 50 damage, flip a coin. If it's tails, you do absolutely nothing. We have a base 50 health, which is lower than normal. Is there another Mankey to compare this to? The other Mankey is gonna, there's 2 other Mankeys with 2 other attacks. I can't believe we already have 3 different Mankeys with 3 different abilities. Even one of them have a different base health. Low Kick for 20 or Reckless Charge for 30, but then it deals 10 damage to itself. Interesting. And then the Primeape. Primeape Punch for 50, very simple. 1 fighting energy, 1 punch, 50 at 80 health. And we'll look at that real quick. The Primeape is going to be, the other one is 2 fighting energy instead, and it is going to deal 40 damage plus 60 if this Pokemon has damage on it. Whoa! That already works with the other one. I was like, whoa, that's a combo. It's an old combo. Yeah, okay, not the new ones. Sure. Let's see. Swirlix. Fairy Wind for 20, 60 health, 20, that's basic, is a psychic Pokemon. If you're wondering, why is he saying he's a psychic dark? I could see some people may want to be listening through, I don't know, on the radio as they're going to their thing, yes, on the radio, or working out or doing laundry. So you let me know if you appreciate that. If not, I'll stop doing that, sure. Slurpuff with 100 health. It's got a psychic plus a colorless to deal a magic shot for 60 damage. Okay, nothing really jumps out at me there. But again, tell me if I miss anything. We have Ponyta. Stomp for, how much damage here? 10 plus. You flip a coin. If heads, this does 30 more damage. 40 damage Stomp if you get that coin flip. There is an older version of Ponyta. Let's check it out. Ponyta. This Ponyta deals Flare for 20. And if you want, you could click on the card and then you get to see all the decks that the Ponyta is being played in. If you would think that the new Ponyta would maybe replace this one, it's, you know, it's got a bit more of a luck factor here to deal that 40 damage, extra damage it when you're running Blaine. Now, what do we have here? We have LGM 60 health, 20 damage, psychic, super basic, sure. And then we have Flabébé, Hypnotic Gaze at 40 health, basic Pokemon. That is very weak. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now guaranteed asleep. It is not going to be coin flip. That is just like the Jigglypuff, right? If we're going to compare this, let's type in Jiggly. Jiggly is at 50 base health. It is colorless though, Sing, and then they are asleep. So multiple different Pokemon now being able to guaranteed sleep and very easily for just that one energy right away. We now have Floette. This is going to be in Evolve. We're going to be evolving. And when we evolve, we're going to have Leaf Drain. Instead of putting the Pokemon to sleep, you're still one energy attack. It's going to be small commitment. I think that these one energy Pokemon, there's a lot of them, even if they evolve, are going to be for trading blows with the opponent as you build up a bigger Pokemon on your bench. They don't even require 2 energy. Does that feel like that is what's going on here? Floette, deal 40, and then heal for 10. Interesting. And it looks like a lot of the different attributes are mixing up. Poison on a fire Pokemon. We have healing on a psychic, where the healing was on the grass Pokemon instead in the earlier set. Now we have, what is this? Pikachu. The Pikachu has the same effect as the Dedenne, where it's going to deal 10 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So comparing the Pikachus, do you want to, obviously, there is no comparison, as the Pikachu EX is obviously going to be much better. What else we have here? Execute. We talked about this on the early leaks. Take a Leaf Energy from your Energy Zone, attach it to this Pokemon, and a lot of comments are saying that this is about playing this in non-Earth decks. Non-Grass decks can now play this. Why do we care about playing this in a non-Grass deck? Because the Executor, Tropical Swing, it could deal 80 damage for just 1 Leaf Energy, and you now don't have to play a Leaf deck. And as I could see here, there's another Executor. We'll just see it right now. Holy moly, from 1 energy, possibly deal 40 to 80 damage, we now instead have 4 energy dealing psychic. The psychic ability, that is, we're still grass. It's going to be 1 leaf and 3 colorless for 80 plus damage. This does 20 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Very similar to the Alakazam effects. I would think, you tell me. You want to play Executor plus, what's the girl that heals? She's the Leaf Girl. Let me type in supporter here. And I think the number is Erica, yes. I would think maybe you tech in Erica and Executor into a non-grass deck, and that would be quite nuts, right? You tell me if that's, maybe Erica's going to be too much of a brick, but because of the smaller evolution of the Executor, Execute being able to gain that grass energy from outside of nowhere, you now get to make those plays. Interesting. A new good tank to put in any deck. Now, Larvesta. Combust for 30, 2 energy, 80 health. That is above average. The average being 60 health for the basics. Also above average damage, but too much energy to do that. We now have Snivy. Snivy with that 70 health, super high base, and, not super high. It's less than Larvesta, but a little bit higher than 60, 10 more. Vine Whip for 40, where normally the attack would deal 20. So this actually is a proper energy investment where your attack, where normally it would deal just 20, the 2 energy is going to make it 40, double damage, great. Morlull is going to be 60 health, 20. See, this is the absolute basic Pokemon here. This is the base stats compared to Snivel. Double damage, 10 more health, but more energy. And then Old Amber, old card, reprinted for the set. Sure. Let's move on. Budding Expeditioner. Put your Mew X in the active spot into your hand. We already know how powerful that is through a card like the Koga. That, I would say, is a big deal. because the Koga is able to heal your Pokemon, replay it back. And what was especially good about the Koga is that the Weezing is minimal investment. You don't even have to have an energy on it to be gas leaking your opponent. If not, you have a tackle for 30. So we should just start looking at Mew. Let's go straight to the Mew. Let's skip to the Mew EX, and we get to see all of the alternative arts too. So Budding Expeditioner, let's look at the new alt art. That looks pretty good. Put your Mew X from the active spot into your hand, and the Mew X is going to be 130. I gotta say, I think Mew X was already nuts, and I think that Mew X is going to be played in almost every single deck. All of them, all non-psychic decks, all decks that play psychic. I think the Mew X is straight up an auto-include. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think I am. And now it just got better because now you have a Budding Expeditioner to combo up with your Mew. I'm worried that all the decks are just going to be battling with Mew, back and forth, and then you get them low, they pull it back with the Budding Expeditioner. This seems really toxic. I don't know. This is crazy. So let's see the Mew new card art. So this is going to be the basic one, which still looks good. And then we have the Crown Rarity, the pay to win version. And then what is this? This is like a super Crown Rarity. Is this like a different? I think this is the higher version. No, this is just the 2-star. Wait, they look exactly the same. Never mind. Okay, I'm going out of my mind. It's just the 2-star. Yup. And then we have another 2-star. This is probably going to have the animation where you go inside the card with all the music. I'll probably have a video on that soon. And then let's talk about the Mew itself. Psy Shot for 1 Psychic Energy, dealing 20 damage at 130 base health. That's absolutely massive. Holy moly. And the genome hacking, I already talked about in the early reveal video, how crazy this is. 3 colorless energy. You choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon, and then you get to use their attack onto them. So if you're going to steal Mewtwo's ability, Mewtwo one-shots itself, and Mew will be copying this ability. So they're trying to build up the side drive for 4 energy. You're going to hopefully reach your 3 energy before them, as they're going to have the Gardevoir also helping out their psychic energy. And then you blast them for 150 before they hit you. That is absolutely insane. I really think that Mew is going to be everywhere. Hopefully that I'm wrong, because I feel like this is crazy power creep. And now with the Budding Expeditioner, it's going to be even more used. Let's keep on going. Mythical Slab. Look at the top card of your deck. If that card is a psychic Pokemon, put it into your hand. If it is not a psychic Pokemon, put it on the bottom of your deck. What are they doing? What? Mewtwo is already a top tier deck. This is great. This is not even a supporter card. If you want to use Professor Oak, so we look on the card search here, it's going to have the most popular cards in order. Professor Research, draw 2 cards. You draw into a Mythical Slab, you can't use it, right? No, you can. You could use 2 Mythical Slabs in the same freaking turn. Now, I was hoping this set, well, we're still going to look through this set. I'm hoping this set has a way to search for evolved Pokemon, which can help out a deck like Charizard compete with Pikachu. But this is now a way to at least help Mewtwo with its consistency, help them evolve into the Gardevoir quickly. Auto to include in all psychic decks, and especially in your Mewtwo deck. Let's look at the Mewtwo deck real quick. We look at this, and we could easily replace just whatever we want. Obviously not the Pokeball, not the Professor Research. So we're going to have 2 Research, 2 Pokeball, and 2 of the Slab to more consistently set up that Gardevoir. That's crazy. Wow. And look at all the tournament tops already, clapping up everything. Large events, small events, it does not matter. Mewtwo is clapping, and now it's going to be even better. Oh my Jesus. Electabuzz, what is this? Thunder Spear, 70 health, 2 electric. This does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Sure, okay. And we have, what is this? Dreadn. This is a basic 100 health. Wait, that's not electric. What is this? I don't know. Dragon. Wait, we didn't have Dragon before, did we? I don't think we had Dragon Energy before. Dragonite was not Dragon. Dragonite was electric. No, it was Dragon. Okay, I'm out of my mind. But it doesn't use Dragon Energy. This one would not either, right? And okay, so 100 health, Dragon. And because it's a dragon, this one is weak to nothing, as the Dragonite is also weak to nothing. Yup, that's the dragon deck type there. Sure, that's everything they're sharing. Ability, Rough Skin. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. Ooh, I mean, this being a base Pokemon, you could just toss on in any deck. You could just forego the abilities. You don't have to worry about the ability whatsoever. Just block the opponent's Pokemon. I guess the downside you have to look at then is Retreat. And you'd have to compare this with something like, what's a good one? We have the Colorless. Where's the fat boy at? The big boy. Where are you? Why am I? There you go. Snorlax. I'm sorry. It's really late for me. 150 health, Quadra Retreat, 4 energy retreat. That's a lot to retreat. So, and this also being able to reflect damage, that's quite interesting. Now, it does, if you actually have the energy, it's going to have a Fire, Water, and Colorless to deal 90 with Dragon Claw. I don't know if we're actually going to be using its ability. I don't know. I think we're just going to get Rough Skinning it up. Let's see what else we have here. Scolipede, Venoshock with a 70+. It's a dark Pokemon. It is an evolved version. We should look at the basic Pokemon first, but since we're already here, it's going to be a dark plus colorless to deal 70. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, it deals an additional 50 more damage. We got the poison theme. Poison them up and deal extra damage on the poisoned Pokemon. And okay, I think we already looked at the basic version earlier then, since it's only the one here. Now we have Dreadn. Dreadn is going to be 130 health with a triple water energy crunch, 70 damage. Flip a coin of heads, discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That's quite interesting. I don't think that's really disruptive enough to have this attack only do 70 damage. But, you tell me in the TCG if discarding active opponent's energy is a super big deal or not. Let's see what we have here. Luminan, Aqua Liner, 2 water energy. We got our 80 health here, and we do evolve. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And when you're dealing damage to the bench Pokemon, it will not deal damage extra based off of their weakness. It's just going to be 50. We got a new Weezing. There's no way this could be better than the old Weezing. What the heck? The old Weezing is so freaking good. Gas Leak, deal 30 for just 1 dark. Now, what is this? 110 health. They're both 110 health, sure. 2 dark energy instead of 1, and no ability. Smoke Screen for 50 damage. During your opponent's next turn, if the defending Pokemon tries to use an attack, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack doesn't happen. Wow, that does seem quite annoying. Okay, a nice little lingering effect. It's not going to be a negative ailment that you're giving onto their Pokemon. Just 1 turn, a chance to fail their attack, and dealing more damage than the 30 tackle. Now, is this a replacement for poison? No freaking way. I would only consider this if the opponent's Pokemon is already poisoned. So sure, if they're already poisoned and you could Smoke Screen hit them for 50, then that's fine. Now, what else we have here? We have Stonjourner. Stonjourner is basic 120 health. Holy moly, mega kick for 90, as we have a Mew hiding right behind it. I don't know why. This makes me think of Minecraft or something. What the? Mega kick for 90, 3 fighting energy. I don't know. This Pokemon looks like a joke to me. You tell me if it's actually good. Graveler. Evolving. Lunge Out for 40 damage. We got a fighting and colorless for that Lunge Out 40, 100 health. Now we have Rapidash. This is a nice looking picture of Rapidash. Very nice. Rising Lunge, 40 plus damage. Fire plus colorless. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 60 more damage. Ooh, that random 100 damage. And let's look at the Rapidash we have now. Rapidash, and of course, when typing in Rapidash, what's going to come up is Blaine, giving your Rapidash an additional 30 damage. And the Rapidash we have right now is just 40 damage, no additional effects for just 1 fire energy, so 70 with Blaine. Where instead, we're going to still have that guaranteed 40 damage, but for another energy, and then a chance to instead make a deal 100 damage plus the Blaine, making it 130 damage. So if we look at the most popular cards, Pikachu at 120 health, that's a kill. We are killing Pikachu. Blaine plus Rapidash, that's a play. I think so. That is great. I would definitely be playing the Rapidash. In my Blaine deck, it's in. Now we got Florgus, 120 health. Bloomshine, 2 psychic energy, 80 damage. Heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Heal 20 from each of your just heal. Get healing. Okay, full heal. That's interesting. The psychic monsters healing it up. Behem, 90 health HP. Mind Jack, 10 plus. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. All right, it's going to be 10 to 30 to 50 to 70 damage. But for just 1 psychic energy, the problem is this is an evolved version. This is not a basic Pokemon with this ability. If this were a basic Pokemon, I would think this ability is quite nuts. Let's keep on going. Shinotic. Okay, Shinotic at 90 health. It has 2 grass energy, flickering spores, 50 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. More on the tradition of guaranteeing that sleep. We now have Sigilif. Sigilif is going to be 1 psychic energy, deal 10, draw a card, 80 health base, and it's similar to a Meowth, where Meowth is colorless. This is going to have a much higher base health. Okay, nice. Good job on, would this be put in my Mewtwo deck, though? Maybe it would. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like with Mew and Mewtwo and then the card that returns Mew back, I don't think we have room for this. No, you tell me, though. Servine, Vine Whip, 50 damage. We went Vine Whipping from 40. Now we're Vine Whipping for 50. Sure. And at 80 health. We already talked about the Executor. Now Galvantula at 80 health. Electro Web, 2 electric energy, dealing 70. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot retreat. So I just want to say this right away, quickly. I have played the base Pokemon Red and Blue. I played Yellow. I played Silver and Gold like 20 plus years ago. A lot of these Pokemon are completely new to me. But wow, okay, I'm just getting hit with nostalgia right now. Just thinking of all of the Pokemon I didn't really play with, as I didn't really go beyond that as much. And Flute, put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. So you would think, oh, what the heck? This really sucks, right? Well, it's got to have some sort of purpose, right? I would think you have to combo this with Sabrina. A good way to counter Sabrina is once you have your best Pokemon on your active spot, you just don't have anything on your bench. And also, if you're low on life, if you're 1 point away from losing the entire duel, you definitely don't put a weak Pokemon on your bench. So I'm thinking maybe an aggressive deck, Flute plus Sabrina combo, is going to be quite nasty. Now, of course, it gets countered by if they already have a bunch of Pokemon on their bench, or just even one Pokemon on their bench. I think completely nullifies the whole purpose of Fluting into a Sabrina play. And then this one, Leaf. The problem with this card, I think this is overhyped. Again, you tell me what you think about this. During this turn, the retreat cost of your active Pokemon is 2 less. I know that seems nuts. The X speed is just 10, but this is a supporter card. You cannot draw into this with Professor Research and use it. You can't use it, then use Professor Research. It's conflicting. It conflicts with Sabrina, conflicts with Giovanni. So it's not, to compare it to X speed is incorrect. You have to compare it to Sabrina, Professor Research, and Giovanni. Now, will it still have a place? I think maybe at least at 1, maybe, sure, that could be good. Played at 2, I do not see that happening, but I don't want someone to be like, oh, Decade was wrong. This is in every single deck. It could be in every deck at 1, but I'm going to call it that it's not going to be in every deck at 2. And if I'm wrong on that, sure, call me out. Delm Eyes, 100 health. Energy Whip, 20 plus, Grass. If this Pokemon has at least 3 extra energy attached, it does 70 more damage. It's going to be 90 damage, sure. And then Magmar, Fire Blast, 2 fire energy, base 80 health and 80 damage. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon on that 80 damage. Now, it being at 80 health and an 80 attack, it does make it susceptible to Mew, which now you have to keep on bringing that up. If your attack is as much as your health, the Mew kills you. But the Mew is 3 energy in order to copy this attack. And we now have Blue. During your opponent's next turn, all of your Pokemon take -10 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. This is going to shake things up. I think that if people start using this, more people will have to use Giovanni. I feel like Giovanni generally is a filler card you add on top of your deck only because we don't have that many good supporter cards to begin with. Well, if Blue is everywhere and they mess up your perfect damage, you're perfectly planning to deal 120 damage to take out that Pikachu. You're trying to set up for that 150 on Mewtwo. Nope. The Blue's going to stop it. You have to now play around it. And let's now move on to the next tier of quality. A new Raichu is here. Let's look it up from here. So we'll type in Raichu. So the first Raichu, that's going to be a good thing to look at, yes. 100 health versus 120 health. The new Raichu is not an EX. And the old Raichu has Thunderbolt for 140, discard all energy from this Pokemon. And it does cost 3 electric energy, and you do have Lieutenant Surge. Move all electric energy from your bench Pokemon to your active one. This is a finisher attack. This is, you end the duel with this. If you activate this ability, I would think you generally do not go on from there. So, is the Raichu going to be more of a fighter? It's still 3 Thunder Energy, 60 damage instead of 140. Okay, it better have a great effect. This attack also does 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So an additional 20 across the board on the bench. So collectively, it's going to be 80, 100, 120 damage onto the entire field if they have a full bench, that is. So you can't be thinking, wow, 120, you don't have to discard your 2 energy. I don't like this besides it being 120 base health. That is a really high health. That is really good. But the 140 finisher, I don't know if this is going to be replacing. Will it be played alongside it, though? Let's see. The Pikachu, they're playing it at 2. So maybe you play one of both, right? I think that would be the play. One of each Raichu to just mix it up, but do not replace the old Raichu. So for this deck, where they're just playing the old Raichu, just one, we would not want to replace that. We could look at the Pikachu breakdown for all the other cards and decks there. Let's go on back over to the other cards. Vaporeon. This is 120 health, evolves from the Eevee, of course. Washout. Now the ability does work from the bench. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a water energy from one of your benched water Pokemon to your active water Pokemon. Now, completely unrelated, just for dueling, a lot of card games, they will add to the timer if you're making a play. And this seems like someone may potentially be able to grief you with this. They could, instead of just AFKing, which, you know, good games generally, I think Pokemon has this. Tell me if it doesn't. I actually heard it doesn't, which really sucks. If the opponent's AFKing and not touching their cards for 5-10 minutes, that they auto surrender and they leave the duel. But I don't know. Anyway, outside of the toxicity of just moving a water energy back and forth, just to troll. Okay, we're moving water energy. That's pretty cool, right? Wave Splash, 60 damage for 3 energy. That is super expensive. That's going to be backup. Is this a good card if it had no attack whatsoever? I think so. So you can't look at the attack and say this sucks. The attack is extra. This card is going to be washout, get that water energy, move it on to the Pokemon. The problem with washout, though, is... let's look at Gardevoir, a top tier energy provider. The psychic energy, you're not moving it. You're gaining a psychic energy. So every turn you have your energy zone plus the Gardevoir, that's 2 energy every turn, as the Vaporeon is not generating an extra energy. So I do see that as a problem, and maybe I'm not feeling this card. I am not feeling it, but I'm open-minded. We have Marshadow. Now, my initial review of this, oh boy. The Revenge actually kills Pikachu. That's a huge deal. Yeah, let's talk about this. 80 health, Revenge, a fighting plus a colorless, not powerless. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this now deals 60 more damage. So if you look at the Pikachu EX, the most popular, most prevalent tournament-topping card, 120 health, but it is weak to fighting. Weak to fighting, which means if that Pikachu knocks out one of the other Pokemon, the Marshadow's now going to knock you out. You're out. 120 damage to a Pikachu. This is a massive deal. And so far from what I've seen, I don't think the Pikachu deck really got better, right? I mean, we're still looking at the cards. So far, Mewtwo has become a better deck thanks to the Mythical Slab. So I guess Mewtwo is going to be the sole best deck, as Pikachu's now going to get countered by Marshadow. And then Marshadow is taking extra damage from Psychic. How convenient. What is the conspiracy theory here that they are conspiring to have Mewtwo be the best deck? Was it unintentional for Pikachu to be this good? Golem, 160 health, super chonky. Guard Press, 3 fighting plus a colorless, 120 damage. That is huge. Kill that Pikachu, which we could have done with just 100. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes minus 30 damage from attacks. Oh, I was expecting for this just to be filler, garbage, and a lot of you may be thinking, oh, it still is. Well, I think I would make a deck around this, straight up. It'll take a while. I'll build them on the bench, and for no EX mode, this is great. I think so. If you don't get clapped up very quickly by a Blaine deck, of course, 120 damage and protected from all attacks every turn. So think about this. If it takes 3 turns to kill Golem, that effectively means Golem's health is not 160, not 190, not 220. It is effectively 250 health if it takes them 3 turns to kill the Golem, as you're activating the Golem every turn for that 30 damage reduction. I think this is insane. This is insane. Volcarona, 120 health, fire. Volcanic Ash with no damage, 2 fire plus a colorless. Discard 2 fire energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That, I believe, that is the largest bench attack in the game right now. This is for a KO. We're going to kill that benched Pokemon, and I guess we're going to Poke-Flute it, right? We don't even need a Sabrina. Now I'm seeing the Poke-Flute plays. Yeah, Poke-Flute their small Pokemon, and then this just kills it right away. Yup, this is easy point. This is a game stealer, straight up. Volcanic Ash says, discard 2 fire energy to steal the game. That's what I think so. Superior. This is a 110 health. Jungle Totem ability. Ooh, what does this do? Each grass energy attached to your grass Pokemon provide 2 grass energy. This effect does not stack. So what that would mean is another Superior is not going to be stacking the effect, giving even more additional energy, sure. And wow. We already know how powerful Gardevoir is. So anyone, you cannot say because it is a Pokemon that has to evolve from 2 other Pokemon that it's now bad, right? There's no way to say that because it's already proven that Gardevoir is a triple evolved Pokemon. It's a triple Pokemon that you are using in the top tier Mewtwo decks and absolutely dominating. Very powerful. So now will Grass be able to compete with Mewtwo, with the likes of Mewtwo? Mewtwo having the 2 energy every turn. Now Grass has 2 energy every turn. Well, there's no Grass tier 1, no Grass tier 2, no Grass tier 3. Tier 4, where's the Grass? Grass is completely out of here. And you know what? Grass needed this then. Huge buff for Grass. That is crazy. Grass has to be on the tier list with that ability. The big question is, who do you pair this up with? The Superior is going to have to be supporting someone because the Solar Beam, it's trash. 70 damage for 4 energy. Again, like the Vaporeon, it's a backup attack. It's not supposed to be a main attack. It's not supposed to win the game for you. The ability is the game winner. I think we can see here. Let's type in Grass. The most popular Grass Pokemon Executor, and with the brand new Execute, which is going to, well, this is for a grass-only deck, so not going to be so beneficial there. And what else do we have here? The Venusaur, maybe? It's time to whip out the Venusaur. Heal for 30, deal 100 damage. The thing is, the Venusaur deals just 100 damage. It's not enough to kill them. So let's look at the other grass Pokemon as I see Celebi up there. Maybe Celebi with Serporior is going to be a play. And then we have regular Mew. Mew at 60 health, Psy, report, 20 damage. Your opponent's hand is now revealed. Your opponent reveals their hand. I would think it's just on the attack, right? They reveal the hand, you look at it, and then you confirm, all right, I'm done looking at your hand. Sure, okay. I don't think this is a forever lingering effect, right? You tell me otherwise. Okay. And then Tauros. A lot of people pushed back on what I said about Tauros. I said Tauros would be a great way to kill Pikachu, as it deals 120 damage to that Pikachu for 3 energy. And I was comparing it to a card like Arcanine. Arcanine, in fact, is being used to kill Pikachu, again, for 3 energy. But the problem is, Arcanine has 150 health. Arcanine also has the power of Moltres to give it fire energy early. Now, it is an evolved Pokemon, so it could be less consistent. I would say the biggest problem with Tauros is building up the 3 energy on just 100 health. What are you going to do? Be loading up your Tauros on the bench and to whip it out as your main Pokemon? So comparatively, if we're trying to compare Pokemon as the Serporior is a support Pokemon, the Tauros is competing to be your main sweeper. And your main sweeper just having 100 health, I guess that'd not be good. And then if they have a non-EX Pokemon, you're dealing a measly, tiny 40 damage. So, this is kind of like a side deck card in a way, in a game where we have no side deck. I would say, here's, it's another problem. I don't know. We're just going to have to see it play out, right? This could be on the bench. You could slowly build it. And even though your opponent sees it building up, can they really do much about it if their main Pokemon are just the EX ones? I guess it's going to be a mind game. They're going to have to swap their Pokemon out, and then you take Tauros in, then Tauros can't kill their non-EX Pokemon, but then the EX Pokemon may be able to one-shot the Tauros. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And then the new EX Pokemon. Holy moly. Pidgeot EX. Scattering Cyclone. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. 3 energy for that 80 damage, 170 health. That is nice and large, sure. It is a super evolve, though. 170 for a triple evolve. The Serporior only at 110, but it's meant to be on the bench. Okay. I'm not sure if I like this. Convince me, though. Deal 20 for each of the bench Pokemon. If the Pikachu's going to have a lot of bench Pokemon, but this is going to be kind of a later card you summon. Dealing that 120 later in the game, I don't know. Gyarados. Is it time to whip out the Gyarados? Gyarados EX, 180 health from that tiny Magikarp at just 30 health or it dies. Let's see the Magic. There's another Magikarp that's bigger, right? Magikarp, oh, they're both 30. Oh boy, if they die. So this has got to be super worth it, right? Let's see the ability. 4 energy. 3 water plus the colorless. We could play this with the new Vaporeon, but we're not gaining energy with Vaporeon. We're only moving it around. Discard a random energy from among the energy attached to all Pokemon. Huh? Discard a random from among the energy attached to all Pokemon, both yours and your opponent. That effect is really wild. I feel like it's not really going to do much, or people really care about it. Even if it lands onto the opponent's Pokemon, they'll be like, oh, whatever, who cares? And you won't really care if it happens to you. But 140 damage. Now, that 140 damage does not kill Mewtwo, though. So what the heck? Mewtwo, I'm pretty sure, not weak to water. Nope. 150 health. And I do think that the Mewtwo is poised to be the top dog, the top deck after this set so far. And the Mew EX, which we already talked about, 130 health. The Gyarados will at least be able to kill it, but, 4 energy to kill that Mew X starter that I think a lot of people are going to be playing. And if the Mew X copies the Gyarados ability, it won't be able to kill the Gyarados, sure. Now, Celebi EX, 130 health. This is going to be Grass plus Colorless. Powerful Bloom, 50 times damage, not 50 plus. Flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 50 for each heads. Ooh. So with the, whoa, that's the deck. Yup, whoa, okay, there you go. Superior with the Celebi. You have 2 energy onto the Celebi, and then it counts as, it provides 2 energy, right? So 2 energy will count as 4 energy. You flip 4 freaking coins, and then every turn you're flipping 2 more coins. This is wild. This is interesting. I think we have a top tier deck here. Superior and Celebi deck, Celebi EX. So far, I don't think Pidgeot's going to be a new top tier deck. I don't think Gyarados is going to be a new top tier deck. Celebi EX, I'm calling it now. New top tier with this combo. Yup. Aerodactyl EX. It evolves from the fossil, the primeval law. Your opponent's Pokemon cannot be evolved, but it's only their active Pokemon. And the Aerodactyl does work from the bench. You do have to understand that, but the problem is you do have to evolve it also. So you're going to have to play some bricks in your deck if you really want to play this. I'm not sure if I like it. I'm not digging it. If what I believe to be true is that Mew and Mewtwo will be the best deck, singular, that one best deck with Mew and Mewtwo, they're not evolving anyway. Oh, but what about the Gardevoir? The Gardevoir's on the bench. They don't care. Aerodactyl, okay, cool. It's even 140 health. I'll kill it with 1 shot on my Mewtwo EX. Or this just hangs on the bench and, okay, hey, nice Aerodactyl on your bench. It's not like, oh, I'll just wait till I build up my Aerodactyl. You're going to start getting land crushed for 80 damage only. That's weak. And, 80 to the Pikachu. The Pikachu's weak to fighting, so it's going to be 100. Doesn't kill Pikachu. Does nothing to Mewtwo. Pikachu EX rarely even evolves anyway. Okay. Now, we already talked about the Mew. Now, let's look at the new card arts. Let's see. The Dedenne, the Vaporeon. Oh, this looks like the card you go into the art, yeah. The Marshadow. We have Executor. Ooh, a lot of them, sure. Superior. This is going to be a good one to grab. Definitely for the new top tier, I think so. Salandit. These are going to be really easy to get. A lot of you are going to get this. Now, so I guess I'm incorrect. Wait, a card like this, would you go into it? I don't think so. I think they have to be rare for you to go into the art and play the music, right? And then Aerodactyl. We have another Aerodactyl. This is a pretty interesting version of Aerodactyl art. Pidgeot EX, Celebi EX, Budding Expeditioner, Blue, Leaf, Gyarados EX, Mew X, and then the even more rare, super rare Celebi, right? Like, how is this not top tier if they're pushing it this hard, right? Like, look, we got a Celebi here. That means triple star has to be top tier. And then the singular crown rarity Mew EX, which I believe is going to be in every deck. So my quick thoughts on this is, wow, Mewtwo just got better with the Mythical Slab. What the heck? And what deck are you not going to play Mew in? I would like to hear that from you. Not about like how good this is and all that nonsense. Just convince me why you would not put this in a certain deck and why. This is crazy good. Even in non-psychic decks, I feel like this would be everywhere. And then especially with the Budding Expeditioner, you're returning it back to the hand. You're healing it. That is nuts. And yeah, so do look out onto the tier list, how things are going to be quickly changing after the new cards release. The top decks page, all the new decks there, all that good. Wait, we already have a new deck? No, Celebi is already on the site. Wow. Huh? Drew, 5+ win streak with Celebi. Well, there you go. A nice little foresight into what's going to be happening in the tournaments. Yup. Very nice. Good job, Drew. Thank you for sharing this with us. Very happy to see it. You really have this version of the Celebi in your deck list. That is crazy. So if you want to be a mad lad like Drew and submit your deck and also join other whales in the Discord, as you're going to have better odds with your Wonder Pick, click on the Discord link, accept the invites, and then once you're in, have fun, go to town, and do the whale channel. Where's the whale channel at? We still have the $50 giveaway, which we're going to be ending today. We're going to be done with that today. We're going to be announcing on stream the winner, and the whale code share. All the mad lads grab their code, go to the later part of the channel, scroll on down, and then you're going to have a chance at the newer cards much more easily. If you look at the 5 win streak deck list here, let's see. Any other new decks? There you go. Aloha, good job. And, ooh, we also have a Marshadow deck list. Nice to see. All the decks are coming in. All right, I'm going to go now. I'll see you on twitch.tv/Decade. We are out.